To go live, and you know what? It is Wednesday. It's not noon. It's not noon on Wednesday. It's not noon on Friday. No. This is a special Uncle Vigilante show on Wednesday night. Let me make sure this doesn't blow us out. No, good. I caught it just in time. Hello, everyone. This is Uncle Vigilante, and I unapologetically cover Epic Cash. It's been a while. It's been just like a few hours since we last hung up from each other. So thanks for coming back. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, make some comments, tell us where you're from. And even if you're watching this later, please tell us where you're from in the comments. It's just always good for the YouTube algorithm. They actually let other people know we exist when there's engagement. So that's a way you can get your oar wet in the water. Thank you. I have a very special guest on tonight, hailing from Cambodia, and it is Jeff Sekerak. Did I get that right, Jeff?
That's right.
Sekerak.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And wow, Jeff, well, you know what? Let me do this. I'm just going to give you guys a little peek. Going to share my screen, and we're going to go take a look at his Twitter account. Now, Jeff has a follower or two. He has almost 45,000 followers. And let me just read it here. Jeff Sekerak, freedom fighter, fitness enthusiast, and yes, I can confirm this is him. He is in his 50s, and he freaking looks like that. You know, I'm throwing up in the back of my mouth a little bit because I sport a 1-pack, he sports a 6-pack, and it's just not fair. I hate people with discipline. Nah, just kidding. But you'll see that I'm following him. I have the notification bell, so please go to Jeff, Sekerak, Jeff Sekerak, and please give him a follow. Jeff is a freedom fighter, fitness enthusiast, master of minimalism, which is really interesting. I like people who simplify and clarify. You can get super fit at any age, streamline your life, be free in an unfree world. I did. You can too. Jeff, welcome to the show. How are you? How is Cambodia these days? You're like on the other side of the world, I think. Yes?
Yes, I'm exactly on the other side of the world. I think we've got an 11-hour difference right now. But yeah, it's great. I mean, the weather here is very similar to Florida. Sometimes I miss Florida. I used to live in Fort Myers, and for my money, that's one of the best towns in the entire country.
Oh, Fort Myers is, yeah, down south is great, except this last year when the hurricane hit.
All right. Gotcha.
Wasn't so good being down in Fort Myers and Naples. Boy, God bless those people. I know some people who were without power for literally 3 months. It was just horrible. But yeah, great people down there. And so, okay, let's rewind a little bit. And why don't you share a little bit about yourself and then how you came to Epic Cash or to know about Epic Cash, and maybe just share a little bit about our conversation that we had. We had some really good conversations, and why you're here today talking with Max Freeman. Max, welcome to the show. Max Freeman, founder of Epic Cash. Max Freeman, peace be upon him. We love having Max on. He is with us almost all the time. He is the hardest working founder within all of cryptocurrency, period, full stop. Okay, Jeff, enough about the intro. Let's talk about you.
Yeah, so I've been involved in the health and fitness business for about 25 years. As you can see there, I had a pretty good following on Twitter. I was up to about 50,000 followers there before I got kicked off for a year for telling the truth. That's what you get in this day and age for telling the truth. But at least I'm back on there now. You can find me. They've still got me shadow banned to limit my reach.
Did they ban you?
Yeah, I was banned. I was off of there for a year. I was on Gab, only Gab.
Oh, so then when Musk came back, he gave you your Twitter life back?
Yeah, my Twitter, I got out of Twitter jail, but I'll tell you, They still have, like Brian from High Impact Flicks. I'm pretty good friends with him. He's shadow banned. I'm shadow banned.
Okay.
So although we are back on there, they are still limiting the reach of our posts. But luckily, if you tell the truth and if you're loyal and you've got some credibility behind what you're saying, you can grow anyway. So they can't stop me. I'm back.
Right. That's right. You're back like a good rash.
Right. So anyway, Twitter, I had a pretty good following. I had a YouTube channel, which I've subsequently deleted. I've got 2 books up on Amazon. So for the last so many years, I've been happy just doing health and fitness, selling books, doing consultations, that type of thing. But of course, a few years ago, they came at us with a phony germ, a fake disease, a bunch of BS mandates. And isn't this something I had to get to the bottom of it? I'm not the type of person that just buys the official story. And I suspected that the entire thing was complete and utter BS from day one, which has obviously subsequently been proven true.
Wait a minute. I wasn't an asymptomatic silent assassin? Really?
No.
I wasn't out to kill grandma?
No, the Spanish flu was a fraud too, and I believe I can prove that.
You can.
Yeah. Yep. So the bottom line is, I think it kind of speaks to the idea that there's a certain percentage of the population that just cannot be brainwashed. No matter how hard you try to propagandize them, they can't be brainwashed, and that's me.
Let me ask you, because I have my idea. Let me ask you what percentage. I'm going to flip it. Instead of the ones who can't be brainwashed, give me the percentage of those who you think are either brainwashed, susceptible, or what I call NPCs, non-player characters out there. Do you have a percentage?
90%.
Unbelievable. We are like-minded. I'm a little more aggressive than that. I'm closer to 98%, but that's just based upon my empirical assessment of going into the grocery stores over the last 3 years, and me and maybe a few others. It just seems like maybe 2% of the people.
Okay. Remember though, there is also something to the 100th monkey phenomenon. You can prove that, monkeys in certain areas start peeling potatoes. Then monkeys on other islands that have no physical access to these other monkeys start doing the same thing. So although the numbers might be, I like to say, most of humanity is non-player characters, maybe 5 to 10% of us cannot be propagandized, but we are raising with things like Epic Cash and things like my Twitter account. Hopefully we are raising the collective consciousness, so to speak, and bringing more people over to our side. Obviously we are. Walk around town. You can prove that to yourself.
Yeah. Amen. So I'm just taking a look here at your Twitter, and I see a couple of posts that are related to Epic Cash. So you are an Epic Cash community member and Epic Cash holder, Jeff?
I've got over a Bitcoin's worth in there. And
excellent.
I plan on doing more than that. As you know, from when we talked off air, I do not believe personally in putting everything into Epic for a few different reasons. We can get into that. So there's that.
Sure. What are your top holdings that you are most bullish on currently?
I'm going to give you a few that might throw you for a loop, but Epic, I believe, is number one. I still do believe that XMR is that is a strong community. That's a valuable thing to hold. If you look at the top, just say the top 50 cryptos, look at the Solana chart. That's ugly. Then look at the Monero chart. It's got a constantly rising price floor. That one is going to stay in the top 20. That one's going to probably make it top 20.
Okay. Are you looking in dollars or BTC for Monero?
I'm looking on the CoinGecko chart of the linear chart.
Max, can you show your screen?
Yeah. Actually, okay.
This is important.
Hold on.
No, so before I get to that now, and I'm fully willing to admit that I might be wrong about this, because when you compare it to BTC, somebody messaged me the other day and they said, well, Monero has lost 80% of its value in the last 5 years when you compare it to BTC. Now, all I know is this. I had some Monero, and when it was worth $500+ when the market was booming, right? Bitcoin was at 60 some thousand dollars, and they both lost like what? You know, they both lost 3/4 of their value. So to say that Monero lost 80% as compared to Bitcoin, maybe you could clarify that for everybody.
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
I am.
Okay, so today your one XMR is worth 547,000 sats, right? Or 540,000 sats. So you see here, right?
I see it.
Okay, so one BTC, as you know, is divisible into 100 million parts. So it costs 543,000 sats out of 100 million. That's BTC terms. If you go back to 2018, it was 2.7 million sats. So imagine you lived in a house for $2.7 million, and 5 years later, it's 547,000. So that's where the 80% loss comes in. Measured against dollars, that's not the right yardstick. Measured against the hardest money standard in all of crypto and all of the world is BTC. You would have been 5 times better off holding BTC than XMR over the last 5 years.
I see.
Can you take a look?
Stand corrected then.
In dollars though, because that it's really easy to, just be in love with dollars.
Look. I mean, if you look at dollars, you're like, it goes up, it goes down, bull market, bear market. But no, no, it's just your ice cube is melting. So then let me show you why we are monogamous about Epic. Not saying anyone else should be, but this is how we got there. So let's look at Epic and do the same analysis. So back, we started a little bit later. So back here, we were 200 sats, 100 sats, 300 sats, okay? Now today, we are 5,000 sats. So Monero, 1 BTC turned into 0.2 BTC over 5 years. 1 BTC in Epic turned into 16 BTC in 3 years. So we've outperformed BTC by a considerable margin. The only other asset that we're aware of that has outperformed Epic in our history is Shiba Inu, which is kind of a fluke, because ultimately, like a token, that's just driven by like crowd mania and lack of actual functionality, can't really do anything. Are you familiar with, does the word ordinals mean anything to you?
Okay, hold on. Now, before you get to that, let me just ask you. So would you say that comparing for example, your Monero to USD, that's an error? That's yes. a problem? Because as as I just said, like when we all know that when Bitcoin gets back up to 50,000, Monero is probably going to be at 450, like clockwork.
I don't think so. And I don't think BTC is getting to 50,000. I think BTC is obsolete and it's going to zero. And people that have their money there are exceedingly foolish. And we have a saying, everyone gets the price they deserve. So kudos on you for taking the time to, pay attention to what we're putting down. So right now today, you can get about 15,000 Epic per BTC. If you go back a few months, that was 30,000. Go back before that, it was 50,000. Go back before that, it was 100,000. Before that, it was 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, 1 million. So at one point, you could have 1 million Epic per BTC. And then time goes on, now you can get 500,000, now 100,000, then 50, now 15,000. Ultimately, in 5 years, there will be 20.3 million BTC. And 20.3 million Epic. And so we think that that's headed toward 1-to-1, and you can still currently get 15,000 of these things. And there's many good reasons for why it's not priced at parity today, that are all solvable issues that are in the process of being solved. So no, I don't think BTC. If somebody said, I want to sell you a 10-year futures contract, and you have to take physical delivery, you can't cash it out until 10 years from now, and you have to do it. You don't have an option of not doing it. What is the maximum you would pay for 1 BTC? I was in a business before this, commodities trading, where I had like contract deals where I had to bid even if I didn't want it. And so I always had to handicap, like, okay, I might never sell this stuff, but I got to bid or else I'll, be in breach. So what do I bid? And I would have to figure out like what to pay. If I had to hold it 10 years, I wouldn't pay more than $50 for a BTC that's currently selling at 28,000.
Wow.
Okay, so let me just put my devil's advocate hat in response to that. Kleenex. Kleenex was the name of the company. It didn't mean the physical tissue in front of you, but because it was the first one in the industry, everybody calls a tissue a Kleenex. You are not getting rid of BTC. There's a limited supply, just like Epic. Because it was the first, there will always be value to BTC. Now, I hear you laughing there, but hear me out on this.
All right.
There is a value to that, and it does have a strong community behind it. So you don't think that's enough to keep it
Absolutely
pumping?
not. Absolutely
All
not.
right.
Okay, so what is the use case? Okay, so first of all, you said it's a limited supply asset. So there's currently 19.2 million BTC on the network. If you ask the nodes, like the network believes that there are 19.2 million BTC. Now, by contrast, there's only 16 million Epic. So we're about 20-30% scarcer just on that metric. But what is the use case of BTC? There's 150, maybe 175 million owners. And if you ask those people why they own it, 95+%. I'm writing a book called The DNA of Bitcoin. If you go to DNAofBitcoin.info, you can see the white paper on there. Satoshi created this system as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that enables online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution or relying on trust. So it started out as a medium of exchange, a trustless, borderless, permissionless, censorship-resistant, neutral playing field for people to go and do business on with this scarcity standard paradigm with respect to time of 21 million sketched out over or spaced out until the year 2140. But now, because this store of value narrative has become ascendant, of those 180 million people, it costs between $2 and $81 to send a transaction. And there are other superior alternatives for peer-to-peer electronic cash use case. So 95, let's just say % of people, they view BTC as an asset to be hodled. 70% hasn't moved in over a year. We know that from on-chain metrics. So if you ask those people, they say, I own this like a stock, a mutual fund. The goal of this thing is I buy it at X price, I sell it at Y price, and I get more dollars. So the point is to hodl. If I hodl on a ledger in my own custody, how is that? That's not very much different. As long as Coinbase or Binance or Gemini or Kraken or BitGo or any other third-party custodian goes out of business, it's actually more convenient for me to let a third-party custody, depending on my security setup. And I don't want to have to buy a ledger for $100 and have the stress that maybe I write down one letter on my seed words wrong. Self-custody is not for everybody. So the vast majority of BTC coins are in third-party custody. And what those exchanges do is they lend them out. So I have one BTC on the exchange. My statement says that I have one BTC, but then they've lent that out to a hedge fund. And so now I have one and they have one, and then they rehypothecate it and they do their bankster tricks. So the most recent research that we have access to, one of the guys I know, I'll call him a friend, we're doing some business stuff together, was he's the number 1, 2, or 3 market maker on the top 20 exchanges in the world. He did 1 million on-chain transactions last year. And so it's business critical for him to know how much fractional reserve is out there. Because if you get into when the options expire and GBTC and in the futures, the CME and stuff. And so his research indicates that there's 44 to 50 million effective supply. Because if I am a financial institution, if I'm a speculator, and all I care about is obtaining directional price exposure to the underlying asset, I don't actually need to own coins. If I have a margin position with a prime broker that I can cross margin from one venue to another. Let's say I'm arbitraging CME to Backed or Kraken or something like that. There's a lot of financialization. The average transaction on chain is over $1 million. It's actually more valuable to me depending on how I run my fund and my firm to have it to not own the coin. So you have 16 million as a hard number versus, let's call it 3 times that, 50 million. So that puts us, by my little chicken head brain math, at 28 times 3, that's 84. Now, the other thing, the reason that I don't think that's an apt comparison to say that because BTC has a head start and it has a community and it has a value that it's going to last, let me repeat my question. You mentioned Monero, and Monero has the Mordinals version. Have you been tuning into the BTC Ordinals phenomenon over the past 4 to 6 weeks? You know about that?
No.
Okay, so you know about the NFT hype over the past year or so on Ethereum? Let me make a picture of a dog and sell it for $40 million, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm aware of what an NFT is, and that always struck me as a bit of, as you just said, I'm selling a picture for with a limited amount, but basically a piece of art.
Well, I mean, art is the one use case. I mean, if you look at innovation in the internet, like it was driven by adult
art loosely.
Yeah. I mean, it's ultimately about, property rights and digital scarcity and sovereignty and stuff. So the leading edge of that phenomenon is art. But if you think about it, like a concert ticket, you have row A, seat 13 for Lady Gaga on March 15th, 2023. That's an NFT. If you think about a bill of lading or an insurance contract or any one of the really mundane like use cases, there is a value. But anyway, most of the Ethereum and other chain NFTs, the dirty little secret is that you're not actually storing data on chain. What you're storing is a pointer to the record in the servers of some company. Like if OpenSea goes out of business, then you lose your NFT. What's happening in Bitcoin Core, BTC, is different. Over the past few years, they've changed the network in a couple of ways. One is SegWit, or segregated witness. The other is Taproot. And between those two things, they kind of opened up a little bit of an unintended backdoor to basically tag an individual Satoshi with arbitrary data. So I'm going to go to, what's that website? Okay. So ordinals, okay.
Now,
so if I go to ordinals.com.
Hold on. Yeah. Now, just briefly before you get to that, you mentioned that Bitcoin is looked at as a store of value by most people. And I do agree. Obviously, that's what most people view it as. I originally said, hey, this thing can't be money because the transaction time is too expensive. It's too slow. And I don't personally own any BTC. However, I've got a good friend here in Cambodia, a guy from Europe, Cedric, and he's seriously considering. I introduced him to Epic, just a couple of weeks ago, and now he's involved in it. This guy is very sharp. And he told me a couple of weeks ago that, he's seriously thinking about getting rid of everything except his BTC and precious metals. And he's telling me, like, I've never used the Lightning Network for transactions.
Nobody else has either. Nobody else has either. It doesn't work.
Oh, really? Because I did some business with this guy, and he said, boom, here's the Lightning Network. Now, to be fair, I did not verify this, but he said, that quick, I can send you BTC that quick by just pressing this button.
Off-chain. Yeah, off-chain, you can't see it on a block explorer. You're resorting to trust, and you pay 2 transaction fees, one to open and close a channel. There's over a dozen CVEs, critical vulnerability events, that are not fixed. The system is fundamentally flawed. Of 19 million coins, Lightning launched 5 years ago. If you listen to the laser-eyed orange Kool-Aid besotted bloviators on Twitter, they're always talking about how Lightning is the future of finance. So if you think about it, after 5 years, if there's this adoption curve, what do we think? 19 million coins, maybe what? Half of them are on there? No, it's 4,000 coins out of 19 million. That dog doesn't hunt. The system doesn't work. People lose money all the time. And actually, if you do the math, one Lightning channel can only handle 485 what are called HTLCs, or hash time lock contracts. There's only a certain amount of space there. After all, you're talking about 2009 tech that is largely the same way that Satoshi created it. Satoshi did not intend for it to be frozen in time. That's a misunderstanding by the 21 million, monetarist maxis of we need to have scarcity. And if you look at the conflict of interest of who drives Bitcoin core development, it's a company called Blockstream that got $140 million from the World Economic Forum set, MasterCard, AXA, Henry DeCastries, people like that. There's a great series on the CoinGeek website called the Crypto Crime Cartel that shows how what we call bankster tax coin, or been totally compromised or been totally castrated, has really been crippled with malice aforethought. So you can only handle up to 485 simultaneous transactions. The main chain L1, layer 1 of BTC, can only handle 350,000 transactions a day. By contrast, WeChat Pay does over 1 billion just in China alone. So there's just not enough capacity on layer 1 or layer 2 to handle it. But the marketing is really disingenuous. The other thing is that the U.S. government just put out a 485-page report. I think it was something huge like that. Might have even been 500, talking about how they feel about crypto. And they correctly, so first of all, they're putting a 30% excise tax on proof of work miners, Marathon, Riot Energy, or Marathon, Riot Blockchain, and Hut 8. Companies like that are all Wall Street backed. They have giant warehouse facilities owned by Wall Street and bondholders and stuff. And so they're not really mobile. They can't go anywhere. They're just going to have to take it. Those miners are susceptible to political pressure. Marathon patented technology to filter and screen and censor transactions against the OFAC, or Office of Foreign Assets Control, SDN, Specially Designated National Blacklist. So you have a censorable system that is under attack from the tax authorities, but it gets worse because it took probably north of 5, maybe as many as $10 billion in capital expenditure in 2022, because you have to replace the entire installed base of the Asic miners from China that do the SHA-256 mining. They obsolesce due to Moore's law. And so you have to replace them every 2-3 years, and it creates a giant e-waste problem. And so the ESG crusaders that think the planet is dying from too much carbon have a petard to go and hoist this thing on. And so the BTC blockchain is 500 gigs. It's growing at double the rate that it was before ordinals. This thing I have up on the screen is showing what data people are writing into the chain. You can see that out of the 8 latest ones, one was a picture of a monkey, this Bored Ape or whatever. People are porting that in. The other 7 had to be hidden. Why? Because people are writing child porn into the BTC blockchain, goat porn. Somebody put videos, advertisements. I mean, basically people can spam the chain and bloat it, and it's going to be bloated into multiple terabytes at a discounted fee rate because of an unanticipated ability to write data in through the SegWit and Taproot through this thing called ordinals. So if you think about the market share of VHS in an era where people are watching DVD, like VHS just kind of like goes away, except as a nostalgic curiosity or people that still need that or something. The only reason that BTC exists today, aside from this new ordinals thing, which again, there's other ones that can do that better, is to store value. And because the 21 million has been undermined through the fractional reserve, and it requires $10+ billion of ongoing capital expenditure every cycle to replace that, you got to ask yourself, who is going to invest $10 billion into something that is provably obsolete? And if you go back a few months, BTC was trading below its peak at the prior cycle. We reached 19,900 in December 2017, and then it went below that. And so I actually asked on the DNA of Bitcoin podcast, I asked Saifedean Ammous, who wrote the book Bitcoin Standard, and I asked Robert Breedlove, who's also a very well-respected Bitcoin thinker, and I said, I took him through my thesis on the Asic mining capex vulnerability, and I said, tell me honestly, if BTC is not ever upward growing in price, does it even exist anymore? And both of them didn't miss a beat. They said instantly, no, it's a failure. The network will not survive. So you've got a critical vulnerability there. That dog doesn't hunt, and creation is much harder than destruction. A building can be blown up in an instant by a single bomb that takes months or years to create. And so I see the same thing, the same thing happening here. You can get 3 times the wealth protection benefit and 1,000x upside, 14,000x upside with Epic. So in a world where Epic exists and its sister chain, Epic is private, E0 is basically leaning into that ordinals use case and turning that bug into a feature as basically a permanent data store. Balaji Srinivasan bet two people $1 million each that it would go to $1 million within 90 days. I would bet Balaji, he wouldn't take the bet, but I would bet him $1 million against a donut that it will be 0 within 10 years.
Really? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Now, to be fair, I am not a technical guy. I'm not, I've never been a technical guy, but when you look at some of what you just went over my head. That being said, where do you get this information? Where are you getting the information on? So from my understanding, based on everything you just said, in order to keep the Bitcoin product going, it has to keep going up in value. That's number one that I garnered from what you just said. And number two is it's going to cost money to keep it going. Do I have that right?
Yeah, let's unpack that one by one.
So insert one thing here, just because it just wouldn't be my show without me talking a little bit. Joking, but Jeff, I just wanted to insert. At the very beginning of the show, you stated that you asserted, I should say, that you cannot be brainwashed. I just want to share, after listening to Max for 2.5 years, Max cannot be put under the BTC spell. He comes to the table with absolute facts. And when you say, where did you get this information? I don't know anybody who speed reads faster and retains more than Max. He has a
Johnny does.
Johnny, yeah, he has a photographic memory and literally forgets nothing. And so when Max talks, like EF Hutton talks, people listen. When Max talks, I listen, and I break out my pad and paper and I begin to take notes. Okay, you guys can.
Just to be fair, this is one of the things that attracted me to Epic Cash is, I was involved. As Uncle V, as you and I were talking about off air, I was in a similar situation to you with regard to Jeff in Mexico. No need to say his last name, but we were both involved in Pirate. And, when that product, when he sold all of his at a high point and pulled the rug out from everybody else, I started looking at different options. And when I saw Epic, I just said, hey, 21 million limited supply, similar to Bitcoin. I like the fact that it's private by default. I like the name of it, Epic Cash, private internet cash, kind of says it all.
Yeah.
So all of that I liked. I liked the streamlined nature of the product. And then, of course, once I heard Max talk, I was in.
Yeah.
That being said, with regard to BTC, if that thing does go to 0, remember in Trading Places when Lewis and Eddie Murphy bet $1 that they couldn't bankrupt the 2 rich guys? Remember that?
Yep.
All right. So Max, if BTC does go to $1 and everything you're saying is absolutely right, which I don't, at this point, I'm open-minded, and luckily I don't own any BTC, but if it does indeed go to $1, I will pay you $1 in USDT. Now, to be fair,
well,
that might not add up to jack. It might not add up to anything, and I'm not going to give you one Epic, because that could be worth $1,000. On that,
no, it's going to be.
But
it's
I
going to
will
be a million.
give you
it's
$1 US if BTC. I'm publicly stating it right here. I'll give you $1 US if BTC goes to zero, because
What a guy.
I'll eat my hat if that thing goes to zero. Anyway, continue with what you were.
So let's get into it. So the company that dominates ASIC mining gear is called Bitmain. I believe they have north of a 50% market share, might even be as high as 80. There's one or two smaller companies, but basically, so you have kind of like a cartel oligopoly type of situation. So I'll just start by talking about mining. So the way that both BTC and Epic work is through something called Nakamoto consensus, which involves two parts. One is the longest chain rule. So the nodes say, we're going to view all the different chain versions that are out there among the nodes to say the longest chain that has the highest accumulated work put into it. We're going to view that as the truth. And the other is proof of work. So you have to solve a computational puzzle. All the miners are basically competing all the time to solve that puzzle. Whoever solves the puzzle gets the new block reward. So currently BTC puts out 840 coins a day. We put out 6 times more, 5,760, around 6 times more. Both of those become 210 coins, incidentally, 5 years from now. So BTC goes from 840 to 420 in 2024. And then in 2028, it goes to 210. We go from 5,760 today to 2,880 in about 3 months. And then in August of 2025, we go to 1440. And then that last halving is not a halving. When it syncs up with BTC, it goes down about 85% from 1440 a day to 210 a day. So BTC scarcity, the stock to flow improves by a flow to stock ratio rather improves 75% from 840 to 210 over 5 years. We improved 97% from 5,760 to 210. So we have better metrics fundamentally there. But getting back to the mining, so the only mining that occurs on BTC is these ASIC, application-specific integrated circuit boxes. They're about the size of a shoebox, or maybe 2 shoeboxes stacked on top. They cost about $8,000, sometimes as much as 10 or 11, depending on the model. They sound like a vacuum cleaner mated with a dental drill, turned up to 11. They generate a lot of heat. You need to manage airflow. People do stuff like putting them in sea containers underwater and Arctic Circle and stuff like that. And you can't just plug them into a home electrical like 120 volt outlet. You need at least 240 or preferably 480. You got to upgrade your electrical infrastructure. So you buy this $8,000 box. You got to pay people to install it, to run it, to maintain it. The fans go out constantly, and it needs to be replaced. Here's the kicker: it needs to be replaced every 2 to 3 years. So you can tell out on the network, Marathon, Riot, Hut 8, over 60% of BTC mining is controlled by only three entities, 3 pools. And so because these are public companies, you can see their financials. When they buy equipment, they tell the world, they tell their investors, okay, we bought this many units, we paid this much money, and so on. A lot of these outfits actually declared bankruptcy. Probably like 70% of the BTC mining complex declared bankruptcy in the past cycle as the market went down. Now at 28 grand and those market participants having died, the miners are currently in the green. But basically, it's bottlenecked the world's ability to put energy into the BTC network is bottlenecked by the availability of that mining equipment. So in Iran, as an example, and Venezuela, the government doesn't allow people to import the hardware. So they just have said, we don't want mining here. We're going to block it at the port. You can't have it. Also, the miners or the companies in China usually like run the equipment for the juiciest first few months before sending it out. The reward drops off dramatically. So when I say these things, I don't say anything that I can't factually support and show you my evidence. If something's an opinion, then I state it as such. And if I'm not sure, then I don't say anything. You know, if your lips are moving, you're not learning anything. And so objectively, like, you can tell the amount of capital that went into replacing the installed base of the equipment through those public companies reported information, and then you can extrapolate based on their market share and the hash rate and so on. So we can reason with a very high degree of precision what is going on there. So I want to make sure I get every part of your question. Is that part clear before we move on?
I think I've got it. Yes.
All right, what a beast!
Let me ask you this. So we talked.
Look at you,
you
man.
also briefly mentioned about the use case of Bitcoin, which I totally agree with. It's generally looked at as a store of value. But when I look at, like, for example, you know, people say this currency has to do something. It doesn't do anything. All it is a store of value. Well, look at like the top 10 cryptos as they stand right now on CoinGecko. Where is Dogecoin? What is that? Number 7? Number 7 or 8? Okay, so Dogecoin, unless you bring Doge Chain into it, which is probably going to be big, that's going to bring some alleged utility to Dogecoin. Dogecoin really has no value whatsoever, right? It's kind of like when people in prison use bubblegum wrappers for money. The wrapper itself doesn't have any value. It is, but if the prisoners think it's money, guess what? It's money. Similar with Dogecoin. It doesn't need to do anything. Now, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here. I don't own any Dogecoin. However, I suspect that thing will probably make it to $1.50 or $2. Now, when I say I'm not brainwashed, I'm open, and that's why I'm listening to you here, Max, and I'm glad I'm involved in the Epic community, and I'm glad you're out there. I think Dogecoin will get up to $2, and it doesn't do anything. The public has spoken. They like cute dogs. They like meme coins, and you are not getting rid of that no matter what you do. I'll tell you right now, wait till Binance lists Dogelon Mars. That thing's going to explode in price, at least temporarily. So where am I going wrong here with that attitude?
Okay. So I would posit that Doge actually has quite a bit of utility. So number one, we're in 2023. If you go back to 2021 and look at the top 50, the top 20, Doge is in there. If you go back to 2019, same story, 2017, 2015, 2013. I don't remember when Doge started. But I came of age in the wild ICO boom days of 2018. And one of my early mentors, a guy that had made an absolute fortune in crypto, I was like, this Doge thing is a joke. It doesn't do anything. It has infinite supply. Jackson Palmer is shitting on it all the time. He's saying, you know, he created it as a joke and all these people are stupid. Ha, ha, ha. And yes, that is true. But this friend of mine pointed out that Doge historically, when the market entered a bull phase, Doge outperformed BTC and every other asset by a dramatic margin. So there was a signal that produced alpha, in other words, a gain versus the market, that was very predictable. And so as a speculative tool for the graybeards of crypto who knew that retail new money would come in and go, oh, this is cool. I can throw $20 on this crypto and then go tell my friends, and now I have $200. they found a way to monetize that. So I lived in Miami. I decamped from my home in Vegas to avoid the BS of the pandemic. Sir, put a mask over your nose. No, thanks. I'm out of here until this nonsense is over. So I went to Florida, which was the sanest place at the time, and it reminded me of the books that I would read about the 1929 stock crash and the shoe shine boys, where the sharp cats on Wall Street knew that it was time to get out when the shoeshine boys were giving stock tips. And so every Uber driver, every bus boy, every whatever, I'd be eating lunch talking crypto on the phone, and the waitress would go, "Oh, I have Doge in my wallet." I mean, I remember a bus boy that had 15 grand. He showed me his Robinhood account, and I tried to educate him. I was like, do you know what you have? And he's like, "I own Dogecoin." And I'm like, "No, what you own is an IOU from a financial institution called Robinhood to pay you the price difference on the rate at which it sold you your Doge position. They're on the screen. They don't even need to own any coins, and what you cash it out on. So, if you want to do blockchain, but you're basically just gambling." And so I say the utility of Doge comes from the fact that there's a community. Let me actually pull it up. So Doge has 484,000 watchers on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and on CoinMarketCap, it has, let's see, usually quite a bit more, 1.7 million. So you've got at least 3 million people that own Doge. And what is their utility? Well, I'm an incel, pasty, never seen the sun, no personal hygiene, dude living in my mom's basement. And now I've found community with other people that are into this. So that social connection. Also, the fact that they were able to bootstrap and launch Doge Chain out of it, and kind of like spawn out all these other Inu coins, like Shiba Inu and Dogelon Mars and all this stuff. There definitely is a value
point
there.
Yeah, see, that's kind of my point exactly, and the fact that we discussed that most of the public are, they are so far below what you are, the information that you're giving out here. I can't wait till I post this video on my Twitter. I know I'm going to have the BTC maxis all over me like crazy, and God. But what can you do? But yeah, my point of this meme coin thing is, you're not getting rid of that. You're not getting rid of Dogecoin. The thing doesn't need to do anything. Dogelon Mars is going to be.
Can I interrupt?
Massive.
Can I interrupt?
Go ahead.
Max, I'd be interested in your comment. I mean, the SEC is coming after anything that looks and smells like a security. Did Doge file all of its securities?
No, Doge is fine. It was fair launched. It's proof of work. Okay. It's not controlled by anybody. So yeah, Doge will be a survivor.
Okay, great.
I would give you, Jeff. I would.
So do I? Let me ask you this. As long as we're on this track, as long as you have time for this, I'm going to have a whole bunch of people on Twitter direct message me and go to war for Bitcoin. But would you say that Dogecoin is a better investment than Bitcoin? Just off the top of your head?
Unequivocally, but it's not going to $2 unless the United States is in Zimbabwe in end stage hyperinflation. The reason I state that is Doge is currently trading at a $10 billion market cap. To get to $2, that would be 280 billion. So I don't think Doge is worth more than Ethereum or the entire U.S. automotive industry, or pick any benchmark. Right. I mean, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. But I would give.
But you mentioned Doge Chain. Doge Chain is likely going to be huge. Am I wrong? Doge Chain brings.
I don't think it's going to be
utility. Okay, so
I don't.
You don't think it'll be huge?
No, because anybody. I haven't studied it, but I assume it's an ETH fork. Probably almost all this stuff is ETH forks.
Yeah, dogechain.dog is the site. They've got a little site there, and it tells what utility is going to be brought to Dogecoin holders. It's DC is the ticker symbol. So this thing is, and you know, how much of this is actual utility, I don't know. But the Dogecoin holders are going to be all over this thing like crazy. And when it starts getting listed to the major exchanges, it's going to blow up the price. The same thing will happen to Dogelon Mars.
Yeah, I really don't agree. So I'm looking at this. I haven't studied Dogechain, but Dogechain is a layer 2 scaling solution for Doge built on a leading Ethereum sidechain Polygon Edge. So just because they launch a subnet on Polygon and start like adding utility, I mean, that might keep it in the game for longer and keep it ahead of the other ENUs and Dogelon Mars and stuff like that. But there's 22,000 assets in on CoinMarketCap right now. So, you know, being a quirky, fun meme coin that enabled millions of people to pull their friends in and do the Ponzi thing of getting it up to, oh, let's get it to $1 on TikTok, something like that. There's an expression in China called cutting leaks, where they talk about new waves of credulous newbies that come in as basically plankton for whales. These people are food. And so you have millions of people coming in and losing $100 at a time and going, man, I guess that crypto stuff isn't for me. And so it's a wealth transfer from the credulous to the cynical, is how I read that.
I totally agree. And I totally agree with what you just said. You've got tons and tons of these meme coins. So how do we know, like if you're an investor and let's say you got 80% in Epic and you've got 20%, which you're playing with to try to hit these 100x coins, these 1000x coins that are going to blow up like crazy. Well, how do you determine which ones are going to be the successful ones? Well, one way is you look at something like, for example, I'm just throwing one out there, Bone right now, the Bone token. That's going to be the gas for the Shibarium network, which alleges that it's going to reduce expenses, right, for people to trade back and forth in the Shiba Inu metaverse. That Bone token, just because you've got a strong community behind Shiba Inu, will likely blow up, right?
Do you know how much I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you know how much Bone traded in the past 24 hours?
No, I don't. I haven't checked. I just was in the AM here, and I just woke up here a little bit ago.
$763.
And what does that mean? It's dead in the water?
Well, I mean, it's all the network activity of trading that token in the world in the past day was $800.
Good.
Yeah, that's small.
Good story, but
yeah,
you know,
right. Yeah, Doge. Yeah, I mean, Doge was 935 million versus $800. So I would say you have found your 1000x. It's called Epic, and Uncle and I are as close to 100% in as can be. It's been an over 3-year journey now, and you know, we were telling people the same stuff we're saying now at 1 cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents. Now we're at $1.50. We got up to $7 before, but ultimately, I think that the value of anything, whether it's a barrel of crude oil, people talk about intrinsic value. A crude oil has no intrinsic value aside from the fact that you can do things with it. You can generate energy, you can make plastics, you can make pharmaceuticals. If I have gold, I can make unique jewelry. There's no other metal that's as ductile, as conductive, as recognizable, jewelry, electronics use cases. So the utility of Epic and why I not believe, but I know that it's going to well more than 1000x. And I believe that it will be the world reserve currency, which I know sounds crazy, but I've said that for years and I'm sticking to it. I'm more confident now than ever, is because there's no other payment network in the world that provides that feature set that Epic does. So if you look at all the properties, Uncle sent him the quest for superior money. We did a detailed analysis of the 28 properties that in order to be perfect money, something would need to have. And we compared gold to BTC, to the current dollar, to the CBDC Federal Reserve version of the dollar that's coming, the digital credits. And so we just ticked off one by one. Is it fungible? Is it scarce? Is it censorable in any way? Can you be blocked from it? If you're $1.25 a day sub-Saharan African person, and it costs $2 to do a BTC transaction, you're effectively frozen out. And it also needs to be future-proofed. So quantum computing is on the horizon. Epic, with its polyphasic multi-algorithm system that rotates multiple algorithms, that's unique in the market. We invented it, no one else has it. It's open source, so others could, but it's not something you can go and add on. So unless Doge chain or others restart their chain and use that, nobody else is gonna have it. We have a quantum resistant algorithm that makes it so Honey Badger don't care, whereas quantum is a real threat for these other things. So let's go out to, let's say, what is the world, bringing it back to BTC, you know, because I think Doge is fine. I mean, I don't really have an opinion on Bone or any other assets out there. I just focus on what we're doing because I can't really impact the future of Doge. It's already millions of people in it. It's already worth $10 billion. What is my one little oar in the water going to do? Whereas I can really help Epic to manifest the future that I want for it. And make it happen. So with Epic, you have, hang on one second, let me just mute this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in 5 years, there will be 20.3 million BTC on the network. There will be 20.3 million Epic on the network. BTC will probably have north of 50 million because of rehypothecation and fractional reserve. So let's say they're at 60 and we're at 20 by that time. So it's still 20. There are some things that will prevent Epic from being fractionally reserved and rehypothecated like BTC is that we can unpack if you want to, but let's just take that at face value for the moment. And so in summer of 2028 at the Singularity, BTC will still be doing 350,000 transactions a day if they don't change it. And so let's say BTC gets to 100 grand. It was $81 to send a BTC transaction in December 2017. It was $63 in April 2021. Because of that low capacity, just like how Uber does surge pricing on New Year's Eve and it's raining, it gets busy and you might pay 3 or 5 or 10 times for a ride what you normally do. Most of the market is frozen out of being able to use it at the time that they need to. So you have, if BTC does go to 100,000, then you're looking at north of $100 fees, which people will pay, not for coffee transactions, but they'll pay because the average transaction is already $1 million. If you're shuttling large amounts of money, then it is a good solution because it trades hundreds of billions, or I don't know, tens of billions at least, of value per day. But with Bitcoin Core, everyone else, it's like a poker game where everyone else can see the cards that you hold. So I would encourage you, the friend that's thinking about selling his everything else except for his BTC to buy Epic, send me his address or send it to Uncle, and then we will be able to research it and tell who he got his money from, how he got it, how they got it. When he spends his money, we can see where he spent it. Uncle, you can share the story about Brian at High Impact Flicks, where based on his address, he was just shocked that happened. So with Epic, everything's confidential. You can use the network anonymously and it provides privacy. If I do a transaction with you, then you and I can see the details, the amount and where it went of that transaction, but no other and no one else on the network can see that. And that's completely unique. Out of 22,000 assets, there's less than 24, most of which are just dead men walking assets that even have that. Zcash is pretty much dead. It's only 1% private anyway. Pirate died. Monero has a fatal flaw. Ordinals will be the death of that thing. If I were a trader, I'd be shorting Monero into the dirt.
Explain that, because I have a sneaky suspicion, Jeff, that you hold Monero. You may not hold, but
okay, I'm not going to tell you how much I've got, but I've still got a few cents in there. So yeah, I will tell now my friend here, this guy is pretty sharp. So I will have him,
hey, Jeff, Jeff,
contact you about, go ahead.
Yeah. Why don't you, I mean, and this doesn't have to be on air or anything like that, but why don't you set up a conversation between your friend and Max? I mean,
that would be great. He doesn't speak completely, he's from Europe, so English is his second language, but I'm sure he would be happy to talk to you if you get time for it next week.
Sure.
He'd be happy to come on the show. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll shoot you my Calendly link where you can just grab a slot. I'm Pacific time, so it might be difficult to sync up, but I'll be flexible. Yeah, English is not my strong suit either, so we'll be right at home.
But I want you to speak, Max, just here at the end about Ordinals and how that impacts privacy, which is their use.
Yeah, so Monero, so Epic is one, okay, so for context, Monero puts out blocks every 2.5 minutes. Epic is every 1 minute. So we're about 3 times faster. BTC, as you know, is 10 minutes. So Monero is 4 times faster than BTC, but we're 10 times faster, and we're 2.5 times faster than Monero. The Monero chain is, I believe, 80 gigs, something like that. Our chain is 5. Self-mining a node, their single algorithm, we're multiple. We deployed RandomX 2 months before they did. We deployed Dandelion++, which shields the IP address over 2 years sooner than they did. So Monero is basically 2014 tech. There's 3 basic types of privacy in crypto. There's Mimblewimble, which is we use, that's based what we use, which is based on bulletproofs. Then you have Crypto Note, which is what Nicholas van Saberhagen, the pseudonymous, nobody knows who it was, author behind Monero, that came out in 2014. That was actually forked from Bytecoin. And then you have the zero knowledge based approach. So ZK snarks and starks and stuff like that. There's over 100 different types, and they all have different trade-offs related to the anonymity set and how difficult it is to generate a shielded transaction and so on. So it gets very, very technical, but basically in Monero, the way that it achieves its privacy is that if you do a transaction, let's say there's 1,000 transactions in a block. I don't know how many Monero can handle. I think it has a dynamic block size. So yeah, it should be able to handle 1,000. So it breaks up those transactions into groups of 16. So Jeff is, his transaction is mixed with 15 others, and it basically pollutes your transaction with a decoy. So you can say, oh, Mr. Lawman, it wasn't me buying crack. It could have been any one of these 15 other guys. So good luck. I was
buying blow and a hooker.
Yeah, exactly. We're probably in the same ring then. But so basically this ordinals thing, where basically you use the memo field. It's called op return in BTC. So if you go to blockchain.info or any block explorer, you can see that people write data into the memo field. It's basically like, imagine like you leave a note for the waitress when you sign the credit card bill, you just scribble something on there. And so as in BTC, they're putting on monkey pictures, goat porn, child porn videos. Somebody put the Doom video game in there, all that stuff. Incidentally, over 50% of ordinals on BTC are vandalism, and they need to be manually filtered. There's no way to scrub your node. Everybody who runs a BTC node is storing child porn on there. That's an unpleasant fact that I don't know what's going to happen. And so somebody ported this to Monero, there's a field in there called TX extra. And so if you have data right along in TX extra, then you can basically attach an NFT to the individual outputs, the UTXOs, in that transaction. And so if any one of the other people in your ring did that, then you know that that wasn't the real one. It's a decoy. So now your anonymity set is down from 16 to 15. Somebody else did it. Now it's 15 to 14. Also, the privacy degrades in Monero over time. This is another weakness that people don't really appreciate, which is that in Epic, it has something known as coin join, where every transaction is smushed with every other transaction in a block. So imagine you take 1,000 eggs and then you mix them up. You can't tell which piece of yolk and egg white came from which. You can't unscramble it. Monero and then it cuts through the data. So if I send one coin to you, Jeff, and you send it to Uncle, and then he sends it to Alice, who sends it to Bob, who sends it back to me, all of those transactions are recorded in pre-Mimblewimble blockchains forever. So as machine learning and AI and big data and stuff advances, the crack rock you bought today may be enough to put you in jail 5 years from now. There's a guy named Roman Sterlingov that went to jail in 2021 for activity that he conducted on the BTC chain in 2011. So these things are not theoretical. So let's say a darknet marketplace gets seized and there's 100,000 transactions that get de-anonymized. Well, now the powers that be, the chain analysis companies, the three-letter agencies, they can merge that data in with their existing metadata observations. If we're online, we can't help it. We leak metadata all over that can be used to de-anonymize us. And so as the other people in your ring, through a wallet misconfiguration, through any kind of compromise where their keys get leaked or something, really anything at all, even if you post your Monero address, which is technically a stealth address, but if you post that on Twitter, people use Monero to donate to the Canadian truckers, and then they found their accounts shut down by the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, because they discovered that it wasn't nearly as private as they thought. So the privacy is thought to be the bee's knees ne plus ultra of what's possible in crypto, but that's mainly marketing spin of people that are ignorant and don't take the time to educate themselves as you are. So
hey,
I think, yeah.
I have a few questions. Do Ordinals affect Monero's fungibility?
Yes, because you can tell the one Monero unit from the other.
Okay, so if 15 of 16 Monero ring signature outputs are NFTs, what does that do for the anonymity of the 16th? Is it still private?
You don't have any.
So,
no.
Okay. Do NFT outputs assist de-anonymization?
Yes.
And the last.
So the way it works is it's based on probabilities. So let's say, like if you look at chain analysis, Reactor or Elliptic or CipherTrace or any of these other chain surveillance firms, if you go talk to these guys at trade shows and you ask them about Monero, they laugh. They're like, privacy, yeah, cool story, bro. They can see, okay, we can pinpoint with a 72% probability that this was you. Right. That's why they raised it from, it used to be 11 rings or 11 size rings to 16. That was an attempt to do that. Now they're between a rock and a hard place, because as you crank up the anonymity or the ring size, it bloats the chain. So BTC is 500 gigabytes, 465. We are under 5 gigabytes. Not when, but not if, but when we have the same level of transactional volume as BTC, then our chain would probably be about 25 to 50 gigs. So it's about a 90% compression, depending on how people use it. Monero would be multiple terabytes. So it just can't scale.
So what I'm trying to get at is, because Monero and amazing tech, you know, in its time, amazing tech, but its use case is
only privacy,
being the king of privacy. So could the NFT outputs be used by, let's say, a 3-letter government agency to try to reduce the effectiveness of Monero's decoy signatures?
Yes.
And then how would this impact anyone absolutely needing anonymity?
Probably shouldn't use that obsolete tech.
And
well, now, Uncle V, this is one of the things we talked about privately about a week ago, and that's one of the things. And I listened to some of Max's talks a few weeks ago about Monero specifically, and this is why we decided to move most out of there. Now, I've still got a little bit. To be fair, I've still got a little bit there, but I'm glad I moved out of it. I can tell you now on Twitter, I'm going to have the BTC maximalists coming at me like crazy, and the Monero maximalists coming at me like crazy. But
that's okay.
Yeah, you've got to find out the truth at some point, and I think you've got to be open-minded about this stuff.
Teach them about Epic Cash. Teach them about Epic Cash. So, how long, Max? Last question that I have: how long have people in the Monero community known about TX?
3 years.
What do they have to do to fix it?
Rip it out and start over. Basically, rewrite almost every piece of software that has ever been built in the 7 or 9 years since the system got created. In other words, good luck.
So that's not going to happen.
Really have a future, in my opinion, is that it uses a different curve from the rest of the industry, elliptic curve. So BTC, Zcash, pretty much all of the rest of them use the SECP 256K1 curve. And if a chain uses the same curve as another, then you can do atomic swaps easily between them. But if you use a different curve, then that's not the case. So that's why Monero is not connected by atomic swap to other chains like Epic will be here within the course of this year. So you're basically forced to go through centralized third-party exchange type solutions, whereas as in the years to come, Epic will just talk to BTC. If you want to swap your Litecoin for Epic, you just do a multi-signature transaction. You send your LTC here, I send my Epic there. The coin or the chains talk, and we either both get our coins or it unwinds. Nobody can get screwed. The other thing is, because a lot of Monero users don't run their own nodes, even at 70 or 80 gigs or whatever it is, that's a lot of data, and it takes a long time to sync. Epic can be synced in 20 minutes. Bitcoin Core, I don't know about Monero, but Bitcoin Core is 3 weeks. So I'd imagine it's probably at least 5-7 days in the case of Monero. If you are using a third-party node, then you are trusting that node to represent the network state faithfully to you. You're trusting that you will continue to have access to that node. And then you're also opening yourself up to surveillance. So, if you want privacy, then you got to really ask yourself, why do you need privacy? There's no such thing really as privacy. There's only private from whom, under what assumptions. Is the discrete log problem solvable or not? Does somebody have a quantum trick up their sleeve or so forth? So you can get the market cap of Epic is $25 million. The market cap of Monero is 2.8 billion. So you can have 1,000 times more percentage ownership of the network for your given amount of capital than Monero. So I think it's down 80% versus BTC over the past 5 years, and I think it'll go down another 80, and then another 80, and another 80, and eventually people will be like, wait a minute, this is a 3-letter agency infiltrated honeypot that I just have not really stayed up to speed on changes in the market with technology. We say that Epic is not a privacy coin. It's a coin that happens to have privacy because we chose Mimblewimble to provide fungibility and scalability.
Well, let me ask you. So, Max, let me ask you one last thing here. We've been going for almost an hour and a half here.
Yeah.
So, Epic Cash you view as the most powerful privacy coin. I do too now, especially after listening to this. And Uncle V and I talked about Monero and Pirate last week off air. So I agree with moving most of everything out of those assets and into Epic. One of the questions we were talking about, Uncle V, off air was Crypto James, this guy who's got a channel on YouTube,
Right.
is a guy who says he would not put anything. He does not invest in, how did he term it? He says, I don't invest in privacy coins because although I like them, the powers that be, the evil sorcerers, whatever you want to call them, that rule the world, how are they going to react to them?
Great
So
question.
in other words, what he's saying is to put all of your eggs in one basket, let's say to put everything in Epic. I can guarantee you this, Max, you might think that the evil entities that rule this world, and they may not even be human, they're watching you. You can bet that right now. They're watching you. They're watching everything you do. They're watching everything Uncle V Uncle V does. Now, there are probably also good entities that are watching over you as well.
That's right.
None of this is a secret. None of this is a secret. You are very well known to the powers that be, and you'll see that more than likely in the next few years. How do you see the future going for Epic if they just decide to go to war in whatever way they can against you personally?
Well, what does doing anything to me or Uncle V or anyone else materially affect the network? Let's say I get Gary Webbed, like the network keeps producing blocks. People won't have to listen to me every Friday on Uncle V's channel.
So you're saying you're not worried about it. I mean, you're not worried about it. I mean, we can see just from Jeff in Mexico, if you take the leader out of a project, it can throw a monkey wrench in the whole project.
Was he ever leading the project, or was he just pumping the project?
Spokesperson, unofficial spokesperson.
Okay. So there are over 300 people in 70 countries that are dedicating their time to make this go. There's around 10,000 holders. At any given time, there's around 10,000 miners securing the network. There's hundreds, not an exaggeration, literally hundreds of Telegram groups and more forming every day of people doing this. There's nodes in 129 countries. There's materials on epicentral.io in 75 languages. There's multiple dozen startups that are building on the chain, and Epic is only one asset in the overall stack of 16. So we have the governance piece, ECR. We have the crypto dollar, EUSD, based on Epic. We have the algorithmic elastic rebase stablecoin pegged to the SDR, EMPL coming. There's a way to wrap your Epic and create an E1 token. So you take your Epic and wrap it into an ERC20 token, and now it rides on Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain or Doge Chain. And you'll be able to create your own Bank of Jeff and take an equity-based line of credit against your holdings. You can do all these things. So there is no head of the snake to cut off. Andreas Antonopoulos has a great quote. He's a very leading thinker in Bitcoin philosophy, and he said there's a big difference between can't and won't. So most of these systems that purport to be decentralized are actually semi-decentralized. It's decentralization theater. So you dig deep enough in the code and they have a back door or a secret switch, or they have governance. There's a great post by a hedge fund called Paradigm that was written a number of years ago that talks about governance minimization and how it's so important for credible neutrality. We have governance free. Something happens to me, to Uncle V, to anyone, I can't change the code. Miners have to agree to make any changes, and it's based on social consensus. So I'm not concerned, not for me personally, not for the project, and no one else should be either. And I would say they actually have been at open war. You may be familiar with Operation Choke Point from the Obama era, where they used payment access as a weapon to say, oh, you're doing cannabis, adult content, firearms, you're doing all these things that are legal, but we don't like them, and we're going to use the financial system as a weapon to exclude you from making payments. Now there's Operation Choke Point 2.0. The founder of Tron, Justin Sun, just got sued today. Coinbase got served with a Wells notice. Kraken got slapped with a $30 million fine. The CTO of Coinbase, Paul Grewal, is on Twitter complaining about how unfair it is. The team behind Polkadot, Gavin Wood and the guys at Parity, they raised hundreds of millions of dollars in an ICO, which incidentally makes it unequivocally a security. So unfortunately for them, they sent people to Washington, D.C. to meet with the SEC, trying to play nice with the powers that be 55 times since in the past few years. They sent 55 times people to go talk to him, trying to get clarity on, hey, are you going to kill us or not? And they wouldn't give him an answer. And now the answer is clear. The United States government has indicated that it believes that the entire Ethereum system and everything on it is a security, period. Everything based on proof of stake is a security, period. Everything that raised money from investors or has a corporation behind it that's monetizing it is a security. And so there's this thing called the Howey test that determines whether something is a security or not. And it has 4 prongs. And the Crypto Rating Council has like a 50 question, I think it's 50, something like that. It's really exhaustive scorecard where they give you positive points if you are more security-like, and they take away points if you are less security-like. And the scores range between 1 and 5. You want to be closer to a 1, and 5 is clearly a security. And so a lot of these things, like a Polkadot or whatnot, will have like 100 points or 150 points or 200 points or 300 points or something. But because we didn't do any of the things to make it a security, and we did all the things to make it not a security, our 3 core assets of our stack, Epic, ECR, and EUSD, range between negative 115, negative 135, and negative 155. We are literally off the charts. There is no single asset that is more compliant and within the laws as we are. And so strange as it seems, we have no misalignment of interest with the SEC or even other regulators. Epic is a commodity. It's provably a fungible commodity. And there are tangible benefits to everyone, excluding the financial or the Federal Reserve and the people that are benefiting from that unfair money printer and the Cantillon effect. So, you know, out of 10,000 people, 9,999 are better off in a world where we use Epic and EUSD as money versus the current system, which costs $2 trillion a year in military spending to maintain that dollar hegemony. So post-Cold War, they talked about a peace dividend from the Soviet Union shutting down. That proved to be more of a fallacy than anything else. But you know, we won't have trillions of dollars of automatic funding for conflict in a world where that has to be funded in an opt-in fashion explicitly, rather than surreptitious opt-out fashion that not 1 in 1,000 people understands.
So, well, Max, I told my followers on Twitter, listen in, this guy is sharp. So I'm glad you took the time today to go through all this stuff, and it certainly makes me feel better about, you know, where I'm at with regard to Epic. So, great. Yeah, I want to thank you for taking the time. It's been great.
My pleasure.
Well, we appreciate the fact that you hung in there with us for an hour and a half. And I know that you're looking forward to the fact that, you know, you made a lot of friends today in BTC and XMO.
Of course. you know that. Yeah, of course. I'm always good for more friends. Yeah, even BTC maxis.
Yeah. So, well, look, welcome to our world. But you know what? Ultimately, at the end of the day, just like you spoke about at the very beginning, you know, if you just speak truth, karma has a way of catching up with you in a good way, I think. But so, hey, thank you very much. If you go back and you rewatch this, I know you were focused on Max speaking, but I did show some of your buff pictures, and you know, just because I had to, I did compare my body to yours, and I think people are going to have a difficult time determining which man in their 50s actually has the better physique.
Yeah, now Uncle V, that looks like you've been on roids. If I was looking at the correct picture with your face and the body on there, it looks like you've been taking some supplements that I don't take. So to be fair, I'm all natural.
You come on. You think that this is supplements? You think
that's good point. Good point. Yeah, good point. I'll have to take a look at that again.
No, this is fun. No, you are a beast, and I would never show my no, I'm not going to wear jeans and take a picture of me because mother trucker, you can never unsee that image.
Well, I want both of you guys to take good care of your health for obvious reasons. I want both of you guys to live a long, healthy life because that can only, that's one of the reasons I got into Epic is, what happened with Pirate is when you just flat out stop promoting a project, all hell can break loose.
Right.
One of the things that attracted me about Epic is you guys are working like crazy. It's a streamlined product. Yeah. So that only helps.
We are very, very consistent with informing the community and being extremely transparent, letting everybody know what's going on along the way. And show me one other project in all of crypto that has leadership that is as accessible as Epic Cash, to where if you are just somebody new, brand new coming in, if you wanted to have a quick conversation with Max Freeman, you have a pretty good shot of being able to make that a reality. And that's what I love most, is just the selfless nature of the community. And it really is the community that is on fire right now. And we are seeing so many people, right, Max, that are coming out of the woodwork there, to where all of a sudden you're like, who are these people? And I can't believe the value that they're adding. It's so cool to watch and witness. And then there are things where somebody says something, and historically, I'd be the one that felt, I got to get in there and answer it. No, not anymore. I'm like, no, hold my beer. I got to go make some dinner, because I know it's going to be answered by 10 different people. Our community is awesome. You guys are awesome. So,
and Jeff, we have a resource called Epic Fund Me. It'll be at epicfund.me for the version 2.0. That'll be out soon. Definitely within the next quarter, probably. The V1 beta version is epicfundme.com. So people are monetizing their content. They're doing fundraisers. We just raised $150,000 for getting listed on an Asian exchange, kind of a mini like emerging markets finance platform called CoinStore, and then also a swap service called Change Now. So within the Epic Pay wallet, you'll be able to swap between 800 coins. And so as we come into our own, you mentioned promotion. BTC has nodes in 89 countries. We're at 129. We got to 129 countries, 2,300 cities without spending anything on promotion at all. I mean, we did a couple little videos here and there, but it's all word of mouth.
That's impressive. That's one of the things I was telling my friend Cedric is, look at Epic has pumped up. It's gone down here or there over the past few years. But if you look at the price floor has been on a constant uptick. I wanted to ask you one last thing. Now, on that Epic Pay wallet, I've got some people that, just on their phones, they've used the Vite wallet and they're okay with that. But of course, they know the quality of the Cake wallet, and the Epic Pay wallet looks to be very high quality as well. So they want to move off of the Vite wallet into the new Epic Pay wallet, if they can do that without doing the GUI and all that. Are they going to be able to do that with the Epic Pay?
Yep. Next month. So we upgraded. We upgraded from version 1 of Epic Pay to version 2, and there were about 3 dozen bug fixes and feature enhancements and stuff like that. But unfortunately, in this game, it's sometimes 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So our original implementation, transactions in Epic are interactive. So it's a 3-step process. Our wallets have to handshake. So in order to do a transaction, I have to generate the first half of the transaction, send it to you, then you sign it, send it back, and then I receive that and lock it in. So to solve that interactivity, which is really, really bad for user experience, both people have to be online. online at the same time, and what happens if that doesn't happen, and output locking, stuff like that, all these complexities. So in an attempt to solve that pain point for users, we created this interim solution called Epic Post that is a message relay standing in between, where imagine like an email server where I want to send you a message and it kind of sits there, or I want to send you a payment and you go and fetch that message and then post your response, and then I check in and process it. But the problem with that is it created a centralized single point of failure. So if anything, if that machine or that service went down, then everyone using Epic Pay would go down until it was brought back up. So imagine like a DDoS attack, distributed denial of service, or something like that. Even if the server got compromised, which we know our stuff, that wouldn't happen. But if it did, nobody would lose any money. But it's just kind of bad form to do that. So what we did is we generalized that to say now anybody can create an Epic Box server. It used to be called Epic Post. Now it's called Epic Box, and we completely overhauled it to have. I believe there's currently 3 servers, so you can use the Asia Pacific one. Others can use the European one, or the Asian one, or the Americas one, and we can have dozens or hundreds or thousands of those. There's really no limit. But in doing that, we discovered a couple new things that needed to be fixed, and so 6 people have been all hands on deck for a few weeks trying to solve that, and we're going straight into version 3 with another few dozen features. So we believe in a slow growth philosophy. The first rule of success in this game is not failing, and not like having self-inflicted avoidable wounds, doing anything stupid that can jeopardize us. So our philosophy can be best expressed as not bleeding edge, but leading edge. We try to be a fast follower. Everything in open source can just be taken. You just go to GitHub and take the code, or even if you don't take the code, you can take the ideas and then say, okay, 98% of this was great, but 2% wasn't quite so great. So we're going to take what we like, leave the rest, turn the good stuff up to 11, not do the bad stuff, fix it, try a different approach based on their experience. And so we're really in a privileged position where basically the entire rest of the industry serves as an outsourced research and development function that we don't have to pay for, and we take anything that works. So yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but thanks for being in the boat with your help and telling your friend Cedric and others about it. We certainly can get there. So welcome to the Premine family.
Amen.
Thanks for your time, Max. I told everybody you need to listen to this guy. He is sharp, and you proved me right. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, both of you guys. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff Sekerak, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
And I do forgive you that you didn't say, listen to this uncle guy. He's sharp. He's really sharp.
I did say that. Come on now. I said that, and you guys are working like crazy. Good entities are with you. Good entities are watching over you. So you guys take care. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you the man. Have a great day. We will have a good evening here. All right. See you everyone in the chat.